Thank you. So my topic is approaching futures items. But I'm presenting this in the conditional workshop because I'm arguing that it involves unconditionals. That's why I'm here. Well, first of all, this handout is super long. I don't think I can, talk about everything in the handout. So I will kind of skip some parts. But I hope to, extract the gist of my data and analysis. So, first of all, as you know, purchase items have received much attention in literature. It's easy to fill the entire page just with references, right? So I just pick up some references here, but this is just not exhaustive at all. And one is the examples, right, from intuition. So any student can solve the problem means like every student, even that one, or like every possible student can solve the problem. And we pick any card, pick up one card, whatever it is, right? So the thing here is that 1A has a sort of universal quantificational reading, universal-like reading of the futures item, and in 1B you have a existential-like interpretation of A. What characterizes futures items compared to usual, genuine universal quantifiers like every, and existential quantifiers like some or even article A is the intentionality in some sense, right? So intentionality in the sense of licensing context and intentionality in terms of interpretation of A. So if you look at number 2, so any student can solve the problem. So here the context is an intentional context. You have a model. Then any is licensed here. But if you use it in the episodic context, like any student solved the problem yesterday, that is that. Unless there is a specific context that supports the sentence, which is called subtraining. Like this. But universal quantifiers like every is easily licensed in the episodic context, right? In 2C. So here is the difference. And in terms of interpretation, there are at least, say, 3 ingredients that I'm going to talk about today. So one is counterfactuality, which means that futures item is quantified over individuals that are not necessarily at the actual work. So, if futures item is quantified over individuals in possible words, not just actual words. And the second one is ignorance inference. So it's implicated that the speaker does not know the identity of the individuals in domain, right? So in the case of 2A, for example, if I'm talking about students in the university, not UConn, I don't know those students, but I can still say 2A. And the third one is indifference inference. So it's implicated that the speaker does not care about identity. So in the case of 1B, right, pick any card. I don't care which card it is, right, but just pick one. So I don't care. I have indifference, implication. And the literature has tried to understand where these futures properties come from. And here in this paper, in this talk, I'd like to address this in Japanese. So how these futures properties are encoded into Japanese futures items. So Japanese futures items are typically composed of 2 elements. One is a WH item, and the other one is even, which as a demo, which is interpreted as even. Right? So どの学生でもその問題が解ける。And so apparently this is more complex than say English any, right? At first glance, even if you don't know Japanese, you see that it's more complex. Right? And if you know other languages, you usually think about your language, and there are some counterparts, even English. And interestingly, Japanese futures items are morphologically very similar to universal quantifiers. So if you look at 4, どの学生もその問題が解ける。も is also, okay? And 3 and 4 are minimal pairs. In 4 you have also. In 3 you have even. The only difference is where you have de or not. Whether you have de or not. De mo versus mo. simply. And so where I'm going, well, now I have to confess that I'm more a syntactician than a semanticist. So I would like to propose some syntactic analysis first to motivate a compositional semantics of the free choice item. Okay. So what I argue is that the de in the Japanese free choice item, W demo, is actually copula, which is tied with subjunctive. Well, this subjunctive is not as precise as X marking theory. It's just like a traditional morphological subjunctive. And this contributes to the free choice interpretation, actually the counterfactuality and ignorance. So in this sense, W demo, the free choice item in Japanese, is not a free choice item, right? Because it has a clause. It's a Japanese free choice clause. Right? And this means that I'm arguing that the fourth sentence, which involves W demo, is essentially an unconditional sentence construction. So that's the gist. And this is kind of similar to Kiman-Kampman's analysis of Korean free choice items, which also have a WH item and also like a conjugational particle, which is a disjunctive particle in the case of Korean. And they proposed under the dynamic semantics framework that Korean free choice items involve conditional semantics. So there is a kind of similarity between my proposal and their proposal, but the difference is that my proposal is even more compositional than Kiman-Kampman's thing. It's more syntactically motivated. And I also, I'd like to also discuss a phrase, ikara, which we will see later, which is used with W demo to obtain an existential-like interpretation. So there is this special element in Japanese, and I would argue that this phrase closes the domain of communication of W demo and gives rise to an existential-like interpretation as a default option. So, but we will see this later. Okay. So let's go to section 2, which is about the distribution of Japanese demo, W demo, free choice expression. So 2.1, section 2.1 is about the licensing context of W demo. Please don't be scared. So actually, I had a paper a couple of years ago where I showed that the rich demo is licensed in intentional contexts, like free choice items in other languages. So if you look at 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, these are all intentional contexts, like a modal, future, habitual, generic, or stative. Well, yeah, in a sense, itself is not intentional, but kind of licensing context, free choice items, and the rich demo can occur in these contexts. But here's a difference between Japanese rich demo and say English 80 or counterparts in other languages. So you can, even though you can use a free choice item in comparatives, which is even clearer if you look at, for example, Greek. But you cannot do it in Japanese. Okay? So in any possible combination of direct versus demo, you cannot use it in comparative like in 10. Right? So if you want to express Taro runs faster than any other classmate, you cannot use direct demo, but you have to use direct more without the or possibly. Right? But is it a counterexample to my argument that the direct demo is a free choice item? No. My point is that there is a special syntax that prevents direct demo from occurring in this context. This is just a peculiarity of Japanese, not the problem at all, for that free choiceness. And there are some diagnostics for the universal-like reading here. So there's a universal-like reading context, right? So, for example, if you look, going back to 5, right? Any student can solve the problem. All possible students can solve the problem, right? どの学生でもその問題が解ける. So this is a universal like communication context. And there are some diagnostics for that, but I don't have time to discuss that. So please, if you're interested, please see the appendix later. But let's move on. So there's another context which licenses free choice items in, say, other languages, in languages in general, which is imperative. So if we look at 12 on the next page, right, pick any card. This is really from one B, I guess. Pick any card. So here you pick up at least one card, whatever it is. Right? So say in a sense existential like. But if you want to translate this into Japanese, and if you simply use the rich demo, the sentence is degraded for some reason. So 13, どのカードでも取りなさい. Sounds a bit weird. Sounds like I'm missing something. And what's missing? Look at 14. どのカードでもいいから取りなさい. So you have to add this thing, いいから, which literally means good. いい means good, and から means like because or so. So the adjective and the complement. Then the sentence sounds quite natural. At least to me, there's a contrast between 13 and 14. And like in English, in the case of imperatives, the word demo seems to have an existential-like interpretation, right? With especially in 14. Right? So pick any card. And actually, you can see this with another element. Okay, so 15 and 16. So you can have an existential quantifier in addition to the word demo, and then you can see this. So, どのカードでもいいからどれか取りなさい. どれか means some. Pick some card, whichever it is, like this. And 16, you can have a numeral 1. Pick, どのカードでもいいから1枚取りなさい. Pick one card, whichever card it is. Or pick any one card. A bit redundant, but it makes sense. Right? And these elements, like something or one, cannot occur in the universal-like context. Right? So from 17 to 18, you cannot use these elements in the context where creatures' items receive universal-like reading. Right? So there is this correlation. These are not random things. Okay? So there is a correlation between the presence of these items and the interpretation you can get. And also, this いいから thing cannot co-occur with the WH demo in the universal reading context. Okay, in 19. So the point here is that the presence of いいから correlates with the existential-like reading. That's the observation that we have. Okay. Does it make sense? I know it's complicated, but now let's go to page 4, and I will talk about this weird element, ikara, in section 4 later. And lastly, the word demo cannot be used in episodic context as expected as a creature's item, right, or creature's expression. So 28, 20b, I read any book yesterday. Is bad. I mean, in Japanese, 私は昨日どの本でも読んだ. It's bad. Doesn't make sense. So basically, the rich demo shows the same distribution with creatures' items in other languages, with only one exception, right, which is compounded. But this is not a problem at all later. So that's the first observation. So the rich demo is a free choice expression. That's the first step. And 2.2 is about the interpretation, counterfactuality. Of the rich demo. So in 21 and 22, these are from English. In 21, you have this counterfactual implication in the sense that if there were more students, they would also be able to solve the problem. Right? So 21 implicates this, but 22 doesn't implicate the same inference. Right? If you say every student can solve the problem, it doesn't implicate that if there were more students, they would also be able to solve the problem. So in this sense, creatures' items are counterfactual. And crucially, Japanese language demo also carries the same implication. Right? So 23, どの学生でもその問題が解ける implicates that if there were more students, they would also be able to solve the problem. And if you compare this with the universal quantifiers, right? 24, どの学生もその問題が解ける then this sentence doesn't implicate the same inference. So, the thing is, the WH demo patterns with any, right? Or creatures item in other languages. And, well, it's also interesting to see 35. So here, what I'm showing is that demo and mo can be used as, single items, right, for in other contexts. So they don't have to combine with the WH item. They can combine with other usual nominal phrases like Taro. So it's just a name, or John, right? John でも Taro でもそのものが解ける。Meaning, even Taro can solve the problem, and B, Taro もその問題が解ける。Taro can solve the problem too. But the point is that, of course, 25A is not a free choice expression. Right? You're talking about Taro. It's not about all possible individuals in the world, right? Or in the context. Right? So it's not free choice in this sense. So what I'm going to say here is that neither the rich items themselves nor demo itself is responsible for free choiceness. Rather, they conspire to have the free choice interpretation. You need both the rich item and this thing demo to have the free choice interpretation. Just an observation. Then the question is, why so? Right? Then I will propose first a syntactic decomposition of the rationale in section 3. Okay? So, of course, as I repeat, I have said, WH demo has two components, right? WH item and thing, even-ish thing, demo, right? So 26, and yeah. So these are licensed in intentional context, but not in episodic context. And then one might just say that this scalar focused particle demo, which is translated as even, as a single morphological unit, plays an important role in computational semantics of WH demo, which actually was proposed by Kratz and Shibayama. Sure, but I'd like to take a step further, one more step, which is that the demo part should be further decomposed into actually two parts, which is the copular de is copular, and the additive particle mo. And the copular de is crucial for the free choice interpretation. So they are not single items. There is further decomposition. So here are two pieces of evidence. One is that the lack of de loses this intentionality. Right? Because in 27 you can use WH plus mo even in episodic context. Right? So you lose intentionality, at least in the sense of licensing context. And two, the second point, de can be replaced with other forms of copular without changing the truth condition. Okay? So please look at 28. どの学生であってもその問題が解ける。or どの学生であろうともその問題が解ける。There is longer forms without changing the truth condition. They sound more formal or even archaic, but truth conditionally they are the same. There's no difference. And I assumed in the past that this all particle, all thing in 28b, so which I was subjunctive. So this is, I assume that this is subjunctive mood, right? Because I compare this with Romance language like Italian. 29 is Italian, 29 is Spanish, right? So we use the subjunctive mark in the traditional sense. So I thought that there's something common. Then I proposed the syntactic analysis, morphosyntactic analysis in 30. So de is the copular, which takes WH as its complement, and R is a little V head, O is a subjunctive mood on T, and there is to, complementizer, and mo is some functional head about the CP. And there is a pro, like elided subject in the clause, which I will discuss later. So we have this structure. And this de aro to part is contracted as de appear. If you're interested in the detail, ask me later, but I will just skip the details. The point is that these elements are contracted as de, treated as de. So the point is that there is a clausal structure with WH. What you see is like an independent pronoun, but you have underlying is the clause, conditional clause. And of course, this predicts that there is no difference in terms of semantics and syntax, right, between demo or de demo and de aroto. And that's the case. This is borne out. So if you look at 31, for example, so these longer forms cannot be used in episodic context. which is exactly the same as WH demo. Right? And what is even more crucial is 32 and 33. So you can have an additional subject, それ, which means that, demonstrate that, with the free choice expression. Okay, so 32a, それがどの学生であってもその問題が解ける。or それがどの学生であろうともその問題が解ける。それ, well, I will talk about the interpretation later, but it sounds like, whichever student it is, that, or whichever student that is. In Japanese, there is no difference between it and that. Just like Scandinavian languages. So, whichever student it is, he or she can solve the problem. So you can have this additional subject with the longer form in 32. And crucially, if you look at 33, where you have this contracted de form, again, you can have subject, optional subject. それがどの学生でもその問題が解ける。This is fine. And you cannot have this optional subject with WH も. If you don't have de, you cannot have this subject. Why? Because with just も, you don't have clausal structure. With de, you do have clausal structure. Simple. Right? And please note that this additional subject cannot occur as the subject of the matrix clause, because 35, それがその問題が解ける is just gibberish. それ is inanimate pronoun, but solve it needs an animate subject. Right? So you cannot say that それ in 32 and 33 is the subject of the matrix sentence. You cannot say that. This それ thing is the subject of the free choice clause. That's the argument. So what I conclude here is that WH demo involves a clausal structure composed of the WH item, adjective particle mo, the copular de, and the subjunctive mood o. And you can actually see this same additional subject in 36 and 37. Which means that actually de is a copular in both cases. I mean, with or without WH demo, WH phrase, WH item, demo is actually a clause. And there are some syntactic consequences of this, which you might not be interested here, but if you go to page 7, so for example, WH demo resists case marking, while WH mo requires case marking. Why WH demo resists case marking? Because it's a conditional clause. That's that. Adjunct clauses do not have case. This also explains why you cannot use WH demo in conditional clauses, because it has been argued that English, Japanese yori, which is than, cannot take a clausal complement. So there is no possible combination. WH demo. So than cannot, yori in Japanese cannot take a clausal complement. And since WH demo is a clause, they're incompatible with each other. That's that weird. So these are my syntactic motivations to propose a different position of WH demo. And since I have decomposed this item into clause, now I can have a more precise compositional semantic account of this item, which is section 3.2. So, well, let's go to page 8. We can just, page 7 is our syntax, so just ignore that for now. Let's go to page 8. So I propose actually 5 ingredients that are crucial for the interpretation of WH free choice expression. So the first ingredient, of course, is the WH item. Okay? So I just simply assume the standard analysis by Gratz and Shimoyama, handling style semantics, where WH is a set, or denotes a set of individuals, so, which is 42. And the second ingredient is the copular de. So I argue that the copular de involved in the free choice clause is a specification of copular. Well, but the detail is a little bit complicated. So let's assume that this is true. Yeah, we can come back to here later if you have a question. But my semantic proposal for the notation for the specification of de is 46. Okay. So it takes the rich item as its first argument and the demonstrative pronoun as its second argument. Remember that we can have sore, that, with the free choice clause. Okay. And then the third ingredient is the demonstrative pronoun, sore, which is, usually deleted in usual context. Phonologically deleted. So sore is a pronoun. Okay? Sore itself denotes an individual concept, and it has a pronoun that refers to a property of type S et, which is in the matrix clause. So the notation is 47. So F is a variable, which is filled by accident. And the fourth element is the subjunctive mood, O. Okay. So I propose following Izvolsky 2000 that this subjunctive mood contributes a presupposition that individuals denoted by the rich item in the free choice clause vary across words. And the implementation is 48. So there are at least two propositions, which in set of domain, which are not identical to each other. So they have to vary. And this sort of presupposition is kind of similar to the one proposed by Pinto 2000. Not exactly the same, but in essence, in the sense that since there are two different propositions, individuals involved in these propositions have to vary at the same time. And then since the individuals vary across words, the speaker cannot identify the individual. So that's why you have ignorance inference. That's, I think, the sense. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So both the counterfactuality and the ignorance inference comes from this O thing. And well, skipping the next part. So now let's go to 5. Next page, page 9. I have some argument, but I'll skip that. Then let's go to the article, mo. Okay. So I follow Shimoyama 2006 in proposing that mo is a sort of kind of universal quantificational determiner that takes a set of alternatives as its first argument. But the argument for Shimoyama is a set of individuals. But here, the alternatives are a set of propositions, not individuals. So the notation for mo is 51, okay, which is based on Rawlings 2013. So this is like this. So the point is that the fourth sentence with mo is an unconditional under this notation, under this interpretation. Then now we can see how all ingredients are combined. So let's take 52 as the example, the sample sentence. それが誰でもその問題が解ける. So first, 誰, the rich 誰 and copula, they are combined, and you have 53. So everything's computed via point-wise function application because we are talking about set of alternatives. Okay. So we have 53, A, okay. And then it's combined with a pronoun それ in 54. Right. Maybe you can take a look at the tree on the next page. So, 誰で P takes the demonstrative, and we have the top node. And then the subjunctive mood O is combined, which returns 55. So this gives the presupposition, right? So you have 55A, getting longer. And 4, now this is combined with mo, which gives 56. Here are some totally semantically vacuous. So we have 56, messier. And finally, the metric sentence, その問題が解ける is combined with 56. And here I just assume that there is a covered subject in this matrix clause, which is その人. So actually you can have an overt subject in 57. それが誰でもその人、その問題が解ける. Sounds super redundant, but still that's possible. Whoever it is, that person can solve the problem. That's the translation in English. Then その人 has this denotation in 58 because this is a predicate modification. Cycling. And then you have the matrix clause as in 59. The person who has the property F can solve the problem. And then this clause is combined with the free choice clause in 60. Okay? So the result is 68. Well, this looks super long, but if you don't care about the predicate, the notation is quite simple. And this result is somewhat similar to Hiromune analysis of Darishimo, which is 61b. But the crucial difference is that in the case of Darishimo, you have quantification over individuals at the actual word, while in the case of Darishimo, you have quantification over propositions. So there's this crucial difference. And this comes from the copula de and the subjunctive. So that's analysis. So now let's go into section 4. This is messy. And now let's pick up 62, which is repeated from the previous section. So どのカードでもいいからとください. So you have this いいから for the existential like interpretation context. So here are two questions to be addressed. So why can the rich demo itself not have the existential like meaning? Why does it need いいから to be grammatical in 62? And why does the presence of いいから give rise to the interpretation in question? Why do you need いいから and why does it give you the relevant interpretation? Those are the questions. And the answer for the first question is self-evident, right? Because the rich demo has universal quantification over propositions. Right? It's always universal. There's nothing that gives you the existential quantification from the proposal that I have here. So it just follows from my proposal. Right? And for the second question, I propose that there are actually two clauses involved in the case of 62. So, as I said, E is an adjective, right? Good. And kara is a complement, like a subordinate. Right? So actually you have two clauses, right? Morphological speaking. And so 63 just shows that E is an adjective. And then in 64, this is the case where you have numeral. Why you can have this numeral? Because there are two clauses. どのカードでもいい is one clause. Any card is fine. So pick one. That's the English translation. I hope this makes sense. So this kara cuts the sentence, the clauses into two. And actually, it doesn't have to be, the numeral doesn't have to be one. Right? So you have two clauses. And the quantificational domain of the demo is closed at the point of before cutoff, right? Any card is fine. So pick blah blah blah. Right? This blah blah card can be, it doesn't have to be one. It can be two. Right? So if you're in a context where you're required to take two cards, maybe for a game, some sort of game, or say think of poker, right? You take 5 cards, something like that. Then you can use something like 2 in 65, right? どのカードでもいいから2枚取りなさい. Pick 2 cards. Any card is fine, so pick 2. Or you can even have all, which any card is fine, so pick all. Pick everything. Take each. And in a special context, you can do it. This is not mysterious because there are two clauses. So this is not a mysterious thing at all. And the reason why the presence of eager gives rise to that existential-like interpretation would be the default interpretation of an empty argument in the second clause is singular rather than plural. Maybe default is singular. This is a bit vague, but I think we have some intuition on this, but we can discuss later. So to summarize, I proposed closer analysis of the direct differential expression in Japanese, and this closure structure explains a number of properties, idiosyncratic syntactic properties of the demo, and you can have a precise compositional semantics of this features item. And I hope to extend this to other languages where you have similar components like, I don't know, Greek or Bulgarian, or maybe the Slavic languages, Romance languages, Germanic, etc. But there are some small differences, and I have to be careful about that. But I hope to extend this to other languages eventually, so that we can have a uniform analysis of this kind of expression in natural language. Hey, that's it. Thank you.